Okay, I think it's official. Al Pacino's my favorite actor.
You don't have to go while you got ammo.
Okay, so The Godfather Part 2 is directed by Francis Ford Coppola and it came out in 1974. It's technically a sequel to the original Godfather, but it's also a prequel because it does take place before in some scenes and in other scenes it is set after the original. And I recently reviewed the original and I said it was a truly great movie. It really lived up to its best movie ever hype, and so I decided to watch this. And so here are my thoughts on The Godfather Part 2. I think it is better than the first one. Not only that, but I think, and I'm serious here, that this is the best movie I've ever seen. Yeah, I just feel that it surpasses 2001: A Space Odyssey. And of course that means I think it's the best sequel ever as well. Okay, now, let me start explaining why I do think these things. First of all, the acting is perfect, let's be honest. Al Pacino gives probably his best performance ever, and Robert De Niro is perfect as young Vito Corleone. I mean, he sounds exactly like Marlon Brando. I gotta make him an offer he don't refuse. Okay, I promise, his impression is much better than mine. Also, music was a big part of the original Godfather, but here it plays a much bigger role. Every single bit of music in the movie seems to kind of set the tone of it all. It has probably the best usage of music in any movie ever made. I think it's the best directed movie ever. I'm sorry, Stanley Kubrick, you're still my favorite director, but this is by far the best directed movie on its own, in my opinion. The cinematography for the movie was perfect. The use of lighting was just the way it needed to be in every single scene. Also, the screenplay is terrific, both in terms of the story and the dialogue. Also, a very interesting thing about the screenplay that I noticed when I watched the movie, there seems to be the right amount of talking in every scene when it's necessary, and then there's no talking whenever it's not necessary. Because here's the thing about talking in movies. It's good if it's used in the right places. Even if the dialogue is perfect, there are times when it's not necessary for a scene. The Godfather Part 2 knows exactly when the dialogue is necessary and exactly when it isn't. And so it does that dialogue that time and it doesn't at the other time. At 3 hours and 8 minutes excluding credits, because I like to think of movies that way, it's really entertaining throughout and really interesting the whole time. I like the large amount of time because it makes this story very complex, and you never get bored of it because of how great it is. It's very hard to get bored with all of the things it's getting right. And also, I think the thing with the prequel and sequel thing, I think it merges together very well. It's very subtle, the merges, but you see them around, you kind of have to think about them properly, which I do like because that's the sort of stuff that works for me. Both the prequel story and the sequel story are very interesting, and they're basically both great movies. Separately, they wouldn't be my favorite, but then they're together, they are my favorite movie. So, obviously, I have to give this movie an 11 out of 10. Hell, it deserves more. Yeah, I do think this movie is better than 2001: A Space Odyssey. Sorry, Stanley Kubrick, I guess I've joined the dark side. Dun 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 dun. So guys, I obviously recommend this movie. It's a very standalone movie, so you don't have to see the first one to properly like it. However, I would suggest watching the first one as well, since it is also great, though not as good in my opinion. So yeah, that's 2 Godfather movies done. So far, they're looking pretty amazing. I still have the 3rd one to watch. I don't know how it's going to be, because I do know that there's a lot of people who really hate it, but there are some people who do really like it. So I guess I'll just have to wait and see for myself. I'll try to have that review out soon. It might take a while for me to get it though. I don't know, but I'll do my best, okay? So if you like this video, please subscribe and join the Tim R.